If you were also born in India in the 1980s or early 1990s, and especially in a small town or in a tier 2 or a tier 3 city, but now you're living abroad outside India, or you're living away from your hometown in a major city like Mumbai, Delhi, Gurgaon, or Bangalore, then this video may be for you. So, in today's video, I want to discuss the importance of communication and why it is still important in 2026 and it will still be important in the years to come. So, if you're here for the very first time on my channel, then I first of all thank you and a very warm welcome to the channel. So, I make videos on the topic of burnout and burnout prevention, especially for the people who are over the age of 40, because I've fall in that age group. But the topics of the videos are equally applicable to slightly younger age groups and slightly older age groups. So if you care about this topic, then kindly subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Right. So why have I decided to make a video on this topic? Because as a person, as a person of Indian origin living in Australia now, I have seen that, or I have observed this, that poor communication or poor speech or poor speaking skills um, can seriously impact your growth opportunities. But I just want to make it clear that many Indians are doing extremely well here. So I'm not talking about the very skilled labor or the very skilled migrants, like people who are from the IT industry in the very skilled space, or people say such as doctors. Although everybody does need a certain level of English to first of all, be invited to Australia, like on a permanent residency or on a work visa, and eventually to land up like a good job or be among the locals. But I'm talking about the average population who do not fall in the like highly skilled labor, and and they still have to assimilate, and they still have to make a life for themselves. So as someone who grew up in the late 1980s, um, and in a tier 2 city, i I know that the environment for like a language, not just the English language, but for any language was not very conducive. I'm not at all saying that like the school or the educational institution I went to was bad. In fact, there were like some excellent teachers, some very great teachers who would always motivate children to, take part in like debates and other competitions, etc., etc. However, I think because of the own personality trait or because of the own shy nature, I somehow restricted myself from taking part in many of those things. And similarly, many of my other classmates, now, if I remember correctly, and that was the case, like all around as well. There were some very good schools also, like the convent schools. So any students who would go there, their communication skills and their personality would automatically stand out. But I'm talking about the majority of the population who unfortunately never had this opportunity. So at that time, you don't realize that it can have like a major impact on the quality of life you live and the kind of opportunities you get. So which is why it was important to which it is important to talk about it. um, Now, if I were to give you or draw your attention towards what actually it is possible when you get say a good opportunity to study at a place which is of like a global stretcher. So I just want to take your attention towards Mr. Shashi Tharoor, who is like a politician from the Congress party in India. And if any one of you has ever seen him, speaking, whether it's in the parliament, or whether it's like in an overseas location, like I think recently in the last few years, 4 or 5 years ago, he was um, addressing some audience in the UK, I guess, and I think that particular speech became very viral, and that I think that was the first time when I noticed him very carefully and properly, and like I was truly impressed, and so does anybody else who saw him, giving that speech. Um, so you can very well understand that, when a person again from the Indian origin, but they have that opportunity, they can go so far, and they can like beat the best of the best, and they can be at par with anybody in the world. So I think he's one of the best speakers we have in India, if not if not the best. Um, I'm sure there will be many others who may not be in the limelight. The other person I thoroughly admire for his communication skills is Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. Um, Again, if you look at his background, he has been very fortunate to go to a very great school. I think somewhere in the mountains. Um, I don't remember the name of his school. I think it was Sherwood College or something like that. But again, that has shaped his communication or speech skills to such an extent that he he has the capacity to uh, you know to spellbound. I'm not able to gather the word. Like to almost hypnotize the audience with his great speaking skills. So obviously, people like them will have many doors open for them, with ordinary Indian, like people from the Indian origin, do not get. And it's not, again, not the fault, because the environment was not like that. But now, for someone who is like in their say late 30s or early 40s, and if you're still trying to make a mark in life, or if you are like trying to make a comeback, or do anything great, especially involving communication, why it is very important to give emphasis on that. And more than speaking the correct English or the correct language, it is more to do with your confidence. And confidence does not come on its own. It comes primarily, say, by willpower, and with your ability to withstand some like criticism, or some um, humiliation, I would say. So, if any one of you, uh, you know, is listening to this video, and you literally, like, you really want to uh, break the ceiling, then you have to be okay with being slightly humiliated or ridiculed by some people. Although, if you are in a company of or in the presence of good people, they won't do that for you, that to you. But if you are like in an open platform like YouTube, or even in any other place where there are many people to judge you, you will definitely encounter that. But if you have to break that ceiling, you have to get out of that. There are no like two ways about it. So here I just want to mention, before ending this video, just a quick uh, I just want to tell like an incident from one of my previous jobs couple of years ago, when I was working somewhere, and there was a delegation from like an overseas delegation, and there was a business meeting. So that event was about uh, you know calling some local businesses to invest in that, in the business of the other country from where the delegation had come. So there was a particular so in such uh, meetings, or in such events, all the list of the speakers are already pre-decided. It's not like you call on someone's name and you ask them to say a few words. So the entire event is like well organized, and that is how it is supposed to be. But somehow in that event, what happened, the person who was hosting it was unfortunately not very well adapted to the format. So after I think two or three speakers had their turn, he um, out of nowhere he invited a person who was present in the event uh, to come on the stage and say a few words. And now that person was from a company, like she was a girl of Australian origin, like white Australian origin, and she was taken aback that she is called on the stage to say a few words. But she did not complain, and she went onto the stage, and of course she first uh, she said that she wasn't expecting that, but for the next 10 minutes she like when she's gave that speech, or she shared the information, I think out of all the speakers, all the five, six, seven speakers on that night, on that day, she was the one who stood out, and she had no speech prepared for her, and whatever she was speaking was from her from her head. And the most outstanding thing about her was the body language which she was carrying during the entire thing. So that just goes to show that when in your formative years you have the opportunity to um, you know build a command over a language, it works wonders for you. So, but sadly, for many of us, that did not happen. But that does not mean that we stop there. So, if you are watching this video, and if and there's anything as a takeaway, if you want to take, you want from this video is please get out of your zone, or whatever comfort zone, or whatever you want to call it, and try to challenge yourself. You will face rejections, humiliations, etc., everything. Keep that aside. But if you think that communication is the thing which is going to take you forward, ignore everything else and start from today. Thank you.